Y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Y'all, we are obviously oot and a boot. I am in hot mess in a party dress mode, and I will tell you all about it in just a second. As soon as you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. Yeah, y'all, so it is Monday. We sprang forward and I'm almost out of coffee. So thank goodness when the interns' friends came to town, they brought me some coffee. Well, I have burned straight through that. So now I got to run and get some coffee, and then I got to go pick up some prescriptions. And I thought I would take y'all along with, and we could talk about some stuff, because I was listening to a podcast and it occurred to me as this vlogger, podcast, or whatever was talking about, oh, it's time for my monthly wrap up, and talking about I read this book and that book and blase, and I was like, all of the cool kids are always doing monthly wrap ups, and I can never get my poop in a group to actually do that. So y'all, I'm not gonna do a monthly wrap up because it's the middle of the month, but I'm gonna do a season wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up and talk about all of the books that I read in the winter. Many of them we've already talked about, but seems like whilst I'm editing video, I'm always like, oh, I forgot to tell my friends this or that or the other thing about the book. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get together all my books, and then we're going to sit down and just go quickly through them, because again, y'all have already heard all the things about all the books, but inevitably in every single book there's at least one or two things that while I'm editing I'm like, dude, you forgot to say this, or you didn't tell them that, or you made it sound like such and such. So I am not going to do monthly wrap-ups because y'all know we can't even commit to that, because we got, not that I feel like I'm busier than other people, but y'all know we got way too much going on. We got the furry felons to try to keep up with. I got the intern to, I can't even. So I'm not going to commit to doing monthly wrap-ups, but we're going to go back over and see what we read during the winter. So I'm going to run, get my coffee. I have my car Kindle, which y'all, do you notice? I have my fancy custom cover on my car Kindle because if you're following me on the Instagrams, you know that I am reading the Mind F series. And y'all, so the book, the Mind F series, like the actual physical book, has a super cool cover, which I will show you here. But the Mind F series, which I said this before, I always forget to tell y'all when books are on Kindle Unlimited, which I'll do that in my wrap up. In my seasonal wrap up, I'll let you know which of my seasonal books were Kindle Unlimited or are available now in Kindle Unlimited. But all of the Mind F books are available in Kindle Unlimited. So and it's a series of 5. I do the back of my hand. Series of 5 books. Who does that? Like, that's got to be a sign of like sociopathy or something. I don't know. Anyway, 5 books. I'm on book number 1, and y'all, just the cover of that book is steamy. So, like, naughty steamy. So I have it on my Kindle, ready to read whilst I'm sitting at the drive-thru, but literally all that I need is for one of the neighborhood Karens to look in to say hello to me and see the cover of that book on my Kindle, and the intern would lose his ever-loving mind and be like, seriously, I'm gonna have to check you now before you go out in public. So lest I get grounded, I put my safe book cover on my Kindle so that I can sit and read trashy books whilst I'm ootin' a boot and nobody will know. Why did I feel a need to tell y'all that? I do not know, but because I need more coffee, because time changed. I'm gonna go get me some more coffee. I'm gonna get my drugs. I'm gonna go back to the house, and I will meet y'all back there and we'll talk about some books. Y'all, hot mess in a party dress part 2. I have to tell y'all what I just did. So this is right up there with why do I tell y'all these things? So I'm like 15 seconds down the road from where I just was, and we have a guy coming to the house to clean the windows, and I told the intern that I moved some things around so I could be there when the guy got there. Well, now I'm running late, so I was going to call the intern and tell him that I'm not going to be there when the guy gets there, but that I can be there for like the whole rest of the time. and just let the guy know to get started and I'll be there, whatever. Like I'm going to do anything. Like I'm actually going to clean a window. Seriously? Anyway, so I go to check my find your friends, like friend stalker on my phone to see where the intern is, and it like can't find him. And I'm like, what is the intern doing? Why can't I find him? Y'all, I can't find him because I grabbed the wrong phone when I left the house. This is my like not really phone. It's my like used to be my phone, but now I just use it to watch videos and listen to stuff when I'm on the Peloton so that I can use my mission critical phone to work and not have to like have videos up on it. Yeah, I don't have a phone with me, so I can't call the intern and tell him that I'm going to be late. Literally useless. I'm absolutely useless. And I felt a need to tell y'all that because it just makes me feel better. Even though nobody is actually hearing me right now, I just feel better telling you. So that's all. Now I'm going to hurry and do this and get back to the house before the intern is like, she's been kidnapped. Now she's dead. So I will talk to y'all when I get back to the house. Bye now. All right, y'all, we have obviously made it home, but it has been so long and I have done so many things since we were together in the car that I forgot what I told you. So I was ootin' a boot. The intern had a dude here cleaning the windows. And I told y'all all that, right? I was trying to get home for the window guy to get here. And, well, I can show you now because I have my mission critical phone. So I think I showed you the phone I had in the car, which was not this phone, so I couldn't call the intern. So I get home thinking the intern's going to be all thinking the intern was going to be here, all freaking out, like, oh, where is she? She got kidnapped. Her head's in somebody's freezer. Zero concerns about where my head was, y'all. I get home, intern is not here. Dude's just steady cleaning the windows, not the least bit concerned about where I was. My phone is on the counter with not a million texts from the intern, one text saying window guy's there. Apparently he thought I was a responsible adult and that I was maybe teaching a class or taking a shower or doing a workout and just didn't respond to his text. I know, right? Okay, so anyway, I got home. Oh, that's good tea. The window guy was cleaning the window, so I had to wait for that to get done. So I did a workout, took a shower, have y'all seen the felons? They're here. There's one over there. There's one back there. We're enjoying some outside time. So I brought my books outside. Look, I got this bag I think at the Goodwill or some thrift store in Georgia when I was home over Christmas. And y'all, seriously, the only thing I ever use, a felon just ran that way, so he might start barking. So if I like get all jerky, because I'm about to have to edit out some felon barking. Anyway, the only thing I ever use this bag for is to tote books upstairs to my office, or if books get piled about and the intern starts to get like whatever about, starts to get shifty about all the books I have piled about, I just shove some in my bag like I'm going to take them upstairs, but then I don't take them upstairs because typically it's not time yet, like I haven't read them or we haven't talked about them, or they need to go on the TBR rack, but my TBR rack's too full. So y'all, he just doesn't understand the process. But anyway, so it's my what is it? So it's my TBF bag. It's my to be filed on the TBR rack bag. Nobody cares. There's that felon. All right, so let's talk about these books. These are the books, or some of the books, that I have read. Y'all, I seriously cannot do a winter wrap-up. Hang on, give me a second. Let me unpile my books. Oh, no, you know what? Let's just do them as I pull them out. Oh, let me move my tea. Did y'all see that? Things just got a little wobbly there. All right, so let's start with, apparently this was my gonna reread shelf because, so these were my first reads of these. You know what? I'm missing a book. I meant to grab it upstairs and I forgot. That's what happens when the intern makes me put up my books, y'all. So, Divine Rivals, we absolutely loved. This was the one that was the correspondence. Like they were, I'm really bad at this. Makes you want to watch, doesn't it? Oh, dang it. And I mix up the character in this book with the one in Fourth Wing. Because Fourth Wing is Violet. Iris. See, they're both like weird old-timey flowers. So it's Iris, right? I have to look now. Yes, Iris. Iris, it's all coming back to me now, y'all. Iris is a writer in a small town. Her brother goes off to war. Mom's a little bit broken, so we see that bad things are going to happen. She has a competition or like some kind of thing going on with this dude at work, which you know from the jump that there's going to be more to it than that. I'm not going to tell you a thing more about it because y'all know I'm always afraid of spoilers, but it is a fantastic book. My one caveat, warning, whatever, is that there's a bunch of war stuff in it. For me, it was really good, and it was worth reading, like, getting through the war. Like, there's a bunch of war stuff in it. It's not a book about war, but it's a book about life and love, and it takes place during a war. So, like, I'm super squeamish about war stuff, but, like, if you're triggered by that kind of stuff, don't read this book. It's a fantastic book, and I'm sorry that you're going to have to miss it, but there is war stuff in this book. Fourth Wing. Speaking of Violet. Love. Oh, and so these two have, I'm reflecting right in your eyes, aren't I? I'm going to keep that down. Both of these have sequels that are out now that I'm not ready to read yet. So Fourth Wing, our friends become, well, we meet them as they're going off to essentially like fighter school. They are learning to be dragon riders, tough riders, not writers. Well, it's funny, a Freudian slip there. Violet, this one is actually Violet, thought she was going to be a scribe or a writer, but it turns out her mama's going to make her be a rider, a dragon rider, and fight in the wars. So another worry one. Oh, y'all, I need a second. Lots of war stuff in this one too. Now, some really graphic stuff happened. Actually, friends who have read Fourth Wing, am I right about this or am I just overly something? I'm going to put that down because I keep wanting to pick it up, and I know it's reflecting right in your eye holes. I feel like the war scenes I have not no tolerance, like it doesn't trigger me or anything, but I don't like war scenes and I don't like anything war-y because I feel like you get attached to the like war guys and then they kill them or bad things happen to them or like they see bad stuff in war. So I don't like any of that. So I have very little tolerance for it. But I feel like the war scenes in Fourth Wing are somewhere between fairly and very graphic, and partially because like a lot of the, Bo just ran off, he's about to bark again. A lot of the really like war-y graphic stuff they do to dragons, which is not okay because the dragons are our friends, but they do things, like in the writing, they do things to the dragons that they would not do to humans, first of all. And I don't think they'd even do it to like horses. Maybe they would, I don't know, because I don't read those kind of books. But great book, absolutely love it. Broke my heart. That was the one that, y'all, I broke like the number one rule of the house, which was, please don't film anything in our bedroom. And I had to like come to y'all literally from the bed, and because I was so shooketh by the end of the book that I had to come and tell y'all what had happened at the end of the book. Fantastic book, absolutely love it. All right, let me grab my next books in random order. Oh, okay, good one. Well, you know what? Let's hang on to those because, so One of Us Is Next is the one that I actually just read. And these I read with my 15-year-old best friend, which I say jokingly, she is a student that we spent so much time together over the summer. I told her that we were going to be best friends. So One of Us Is Next, she and I, well, we read both of these together, but we just read One of Us Is Next together. So this is my just read. This is my like winter season read. I might have to go outside because my camera's doing this and I don't want y'all to get seasick. So, but well, let's go ahead and talk about this. So I realized when we talked about One of Us is Next, when I hauled it, that I didn't say a thing in the world about One of Us is Lying and what these books are even about. So One of Us is Lying is the first book in the series. And it's about this bunch of high school kids who are thrown together in detention. It's like Breakfast Club with murder. So they get thrown together in detention and one of them ends up dead. So the whole book is about not the investigation. It is about the investigation, but it's about the whole sort of community, like the school community trying to figure out what in the world happened. And it's told from alternating first person. I can't remember. It's been a little minute since we read it, but it's alternating perspectives. Like you jump back and forth between the main characters. I think it's just the group of kids. And I think they're all first person. Like when you jump to them, I think they're all first person. But anyway, so that's One of Us is Missing. And like it kind of ends. Like when it ends, you kind of feel like it's done. And then One of Us is Next comes out because then one of them is next. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like a something. Oh, no. I'm trying to think how much I can tell. Okay, so the kid who ends up dead in One of Us is Lying did I keep saying One of Us is Missing? It was One of Us is Lying. I don't even know what I'm saying. The kid that ends up dead in One of Us is Lying had like a gossip news site, but his news was always right. Well, so of course that's a big part of all of the stuff, like the whole everybody trying to figure out who killed him and if it had anything to do with the site. Well, One of Us is Next starts off with like all of these sort of copycat sites, and then through that we get into this whole somebody being next thing. It's good. It's different from One of Us is Lying. It's kind of like one of those, and we've talked about these before, those series where it's like a series in a town, but you don't follow the same like two characters through all the stuff that happens. Same kind of thing. Like it's the same community, but we go off with some other people. But our friends from the first book kind of loop back in. So it was really kind of fun in a creepy, like One of Us is Next kind of way. So One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next is the one that I just read. So then let's see what's next in our grab bag. Okay, the deal. I loved this book. Hockey romance, and it's kind of like it's a bunch of tropes, but then some of the tropes are like redone or twisted so that they're less tropey. So it's the hottie hockey player and the smart girl, but the smart girl isn't just like a smart nerdy girl. I'm gonna set that down so I can drink my tea. She's not just a smart nerdy girl. She's like a drama nerd or something. Drama nerd or music nerd or sorry, the felons were being too quiet, so I was getting nervous. And he needs her to help him with like a specific thing in a specific class. So we have like the hot, like really successful jock trope, but he's not a dumb jock. And I like that a lot. He's a hockey player. I like that a lot. I really enjoyed the writing. The banter is great. The action is quick. And the story development, even though there are some twists, they're believable. Very well written. I like it. I think I've said I like it a lot, like 9 times. And y'all saw there are like 6 books in this series, which leads into so that's the off-campus series, and then the Briar U series is next. There are like 5 books in that series, which gets us to the series that I really wanted to read, which I don't even know the name of that series, but the first book is The Graham Effect, and so that's why I started this whole thing anyway. And I'm actually going to remember to tell you, sorry, Bo just took off running, which means he's about to get into some trouble. These are on Kindle Unlimited. At least they are right now. I don't think any of the other ones that we've talked about so far are, but I think maybe all of the, I'm not sure. Look and see, but The Deal for certain is on there. And I think maybe that whole series, I don't know if all of her books are on there, but those are for sure. So now what do we have? Butcher and Blackbird. Serial killer love story. It's the Ruinous Love Trilogy. Y'all, only one of these books is out so far. It's this one. I thought there was something in here about being stabby or something. It's a dark, y'all, it's so dark. I don't even feel like I need to tell you that it's dark. Look at the cover. Heed the trigger warning. So, Butcher and Blackbird are two serial killers who end up serial killing together. So good. This is the one that I started reading it, like eyeballs on pages reading it, and then she referred to him having an accent, and I was like, oh yes, please. So I started listening to it on Audible, and I was like in from there. And I have not done this yet, but I am planning to actually go back and read it, like eyeballs on pages read it, because y'all, I just devoured it when I listened to it, because the story's really good. It's very funny, very well written. Banter is great, and you can, y'all are about to fall over. You can, like some of the, so you can hear some of their victims. Well, there's some ancillary noises. That's all I'm going to say. Because, all right, we're really about to have to be going inside. So Butcher and Blackbird, fantastic. And this is another I forgot to tell y'all. Did I forget to tell y'all that the sequel comes out in like June? So Butcher and Blackbird, I've told you everything I'm going to tell you about them, but the Butcher has a brother who's some kind of like works for an agency. That's all I'm going to say, because I can't remember where we meet him in the book, and if there's much to it. So I don't want to be giving too much away, which I probably just gave a lot away. I'm sorry, but the next book, I think the next book is about the brother. So yeah, that's all. Now I've got myself all like tweaked out about if I gave away too much of this book. If I did, I'm sorry. I'm going to be more careful in the future. And y'all, I'm about to make some people mad. So y'all get you some tea. If you're feeling a little peaked, maybe get a snack, because we do not need any blood sugar issues when we have this conversation, because we need to talk about Twisted Love and Shatter Me. Let's start, and I have the same issue with both of these books. I know they're not in the same series. I know. Not the same author, not the same nothing. Same issue with both books. Actually, you know what? Let's start with this one. I didn't like this book at all. It starts off, so the writing style is weird, and I was okay with that. Like I'm fine with with an unconventional writing style. And yes, I get the whole strike throughs thing, and I get that, the main character has some mental health things going on, and that, we're in her head and we're experiencing things with her. I get all of that. Okay, let me calm down. Do y'all remember the book? Give me a second. It was a girl, and we go with her on the summer to like the family's big old house, and she's hanging out with her cousins, and it's very like choppy and jumpy back and forth. The book We Were Liars, where it's hard to follow at times, because you're following the thoughts of this girl who turns out has some, again, mental health concerns, mental health issues. That made sense. Like that was well written. This, I don't feel like, is well written. I don't care a thing about any of the characters. It's so we meet Juliet when she's in some sort of facility, which we don't know what that is or what's going on for many, many, many pages. And she's in there with another person, a guy. We know nothing about him. You know, it's intentionally confusing, right? So we sort of muddle our way through that. Turns out that it's dystopic, or like supposed to be dystopic, sort of pseudo dystopic, end of the world, like everything's society is fractured. It's ugh, y'all, I just can't. So anyway, wasn't a big fan of this. I know I've told you nothing about this. I'm just going to tell you my opinion about it. I felt like the entire book, they told us things that happened. Mafi, is that the author's name? Told us things that happened. She didn't show us a single thing. Like, she showed us a dress and maybe some shoes or something. But the whole thing was just her telling us what was happening instead of like taking us through it. Like, there were times when like really major events had happened and we were told about them in hindsight, like, oh, and you know, so and so rescued your cat, which wasn't it. That's not really what happened, but I don't want to say what happened in case anybody actually wants to read this pablum, because they have nothing. Sorry, that was rude. But because I know a lot of people do like this book, it just didn't do it for me, for the same reason that I'm gonna move on. Y'all, I wanted to like this book so much. And I did like it at first. Twisted Love. This is the Alex Volkov book. I like Alex Volkov a lot, sort of. I sort of like Alex Volkov a lot. I like the characters in that. I don't like anything in that book. Didn't like the characters, didn't like the story, didn't like anything. None of it was like, I felt like it was very trite. It had all been done many, many times. This book, I like the story. I like the characters. I'm just so disappointed in the writing because, again, it tells us all the things. It doesn't show us anything. And the same thing, like, I don't want to give, again, I don't want to give examples because I feel like they'd be spoilers. But it would be as though I were writing a story about the like the intern and me going on an adventure, and we're going to the lake for the weekend, and we get there, and you know, we're floating on a raft, and all of a sudden, you know, I just look at the intern and I'm like, oh, and thanks for thwarting that carjacking plan when the guy tried to take over our car and kill us at the gas station, and you stopped him and rescued me without even getting winded. Like, yo, that's like a huge thing. That's a huge plot point that's just mentioned in hindsight in like a paragraph. And you think I'm I'm exaggerating a little bit, and that was really stupid because I didn't think of my example ahead of time, but things like that happen in this book a lot. And to me, the really disappointing thing was that they happened with plot points that my plot point was super boring. Like, who cares that you almost got hijacked at the Quick Trip? Like, make better choices. But the plot points in this book would have been really interesting had they actually been fleshed out and had we actually seen the things happening instead of just being told that they happened. So this was super disappointing. And y'all, it was so funny. So I was reading this and I read the whole thing because y'all know that even like especially if I don't like a book, I want to finish it so that I can like really like think about it and review it honestly and fairly. Because, whoa, there was a book, a Christmas book, and we're not going to go back there, but I didn't like, I really kind of didn't like it, but then the ending changed my opinion of the whole book. So, and sometimes that'll happen. So I'm reading, like slogging through this book, and I'm like sitting at the counter in there where like I sometimes sit and eat my lunch, and I'm reading, and the intern was there, and I'm reading just steady complaining, like I'm just whining. I was like, oh my God, this book is giving me a reading slump. It's so bad. And the intern's like, babe, just read your book. And I'm just whining. He's like, look, you're reading 4 books at one time. I'm pretty sure that's not a reading slump. Just close your mouth, drink your water, and read your book so you can move on. I was like, we love our intern. But anyway, I don't know what the point of all that was. Oh, so I said something to the intern about that there was a sequel, like there's a whole series. And he's like, ha, you're going to have to read the next one, aren't you? I was like, I'm so not reading the next one. I was like, unless maybe it's not about the same characters, which it's not about the same characters. So I was like, all right, well, it's written by the same person. Like, what are you thinking? So I read a review of, so this is Twisted Love. I think the next one is Twisted Games. And I read a review, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I intentionally found a bad review of Twisted Games because I wanted to see what somebody that like thought the same, like, it was a 1 star. Like, I would give this a 3 star because I like the story, I like the characters, I just don't like the writing. So I read that review of Twisted Games, and y'all, the person said, way too much telling, not enough showing. And I was like, vindicated. I am selfish. I am wrong. I am right. And the intern's like, what are you doing? Little dashboard confessional? Y'all right? I was like, I'm right. I am right. It is too much telling and not enough showing. Anyway, that is my thoughts on this book. Those are my thoughts on this book. This is literally the only one that I've said anything about stars on. About a 3.5, because you can't dance to it. No, I'm kidding. Because I like the characters, I like the story, I just don't like the writing. So that's that. And y'all, finally, I saved this to talk about last because this is a reread, of course, Ninth House. I said I was going to reread a bunch of books. Fourth Wing, for instance, but I said I was going to reread Ninth House so that I could read the sequel, which is Hellbent. I have not read the sequel yet, but I did reread Ninth House. Y'all, I love this book so much. It is dark. It is so, so dark. Look at the cover. Of course it's dark. It is so, so dark. So it's about the secret societies at Yale. There are 8 of them, and Lethe House is the 9th. That's the one that our characters are in. Alex and our other main characters are in the 9th house, and it's their responsibility to keep an eye on the other 8 houses and make sure that they are not misusing magic and doing like things they should not be doing. And I was thinking, we talked about that 9th house, I think, in pretty much in depth before, so I don't want to say much about it. I love it, and I was thinking about the darkness of it, and I might have to go grab that felon. Y'all hear her yapping? Of course you hear her. But I think part of what I enjoy about Ninth House is the darkness. And not in like some esoteric, like, oh, you have to appreciate the darkness to appreciate the light. Not that at all. I enjoy the darkness of the book, like darkness meaning like the sadness and the brokenness of the characters, and even like the dark magic and there's some of that in there too. So maybe if you're like sketched out by that, check some trigger warnings. But I appreciate how our main character Alex exists in that world, and how she, because of her past, I don't even know how to say it, but like how she succeeds and how she like functions, how she is functional in that world and around those things. And I was thinking about it, but earlier when I was thinking about what I wanted to say about it, because I like it so much. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like when I like a book a lot, I just don't do it justice, because I'm just like, oh, it's so, so good. Like, that tells you nothing. But it reminded me of, remember we read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by, I always want to say V.A. Andrews, but V.E. Schwab. And Addie LaRue essentially made a deal with the devil. My camera just rocked, y'all, sorry. Made a deal with the devil where she didn't want to grow old. So the deal was that she would never grow old and never die, but no one would ever remember her name. So, y'all, that's pretty dark. Like, that in itself is pretty dark. But she had to do some dark and shady things to survive, because of that deal, because of that. And did I say it's not really the devil? It's not really the devil that she made a deal with, but it's this like dark, sorry, I hope that's not awful. I'm going to be editing this video and be like, why didn't you just go inside? Which we're going to go inside in a minute. I just want to finish this one point and then I'm going to be out of here. You know what? I'm going to put my foot up here. Maybe that'll help. All right. So she makes this deal with this negative entity in which she has to spend all of eternity dealing with this deal that she made. So she has to make some pretty shady choices, but she manages to do it. And I appreciate that about that book, that she exists in this sort of like, I mean, that's not nearly as dark as Ninth House, but like she's gotten herself into this sort of shady circumstance, but because of her character, she's able to work it out. And Alex in Ninth House is very much the same way. Like, even the way that Alex ends up in Ninth House is like shady and sketch, and it's because of some awful things. But because she's a strong person, she manipulates it and sort of works it out to work it out. I don't know any other way to say it, and I'm trying to say it without saying too much. So, Ninth House. All right, I got to get these felons inside before they wander off and start causing shenanigans in the neighborhood. But yeah, so Ninth House, I reread Ninth House. So now I'm pretty much committed. I have to read Hellbent, which I'm very, very nervous about. But that's all, y'all. That's it. That was the most chaotic and ridiculous stroll through some of the books that I read this past season. So I hope that at least some of that made sense, y'all. Let us know in the comments. Have you read any of these books? And if not, what books are you reading? And what books have you read this past season? What did you read to get you through the winter? Let us know in the comments. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you made it this far, we are most definitely friends. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can keep up with the shenanigans. I upload food and fitness videos at the beginning of every week, with some book videos sprinkled in between. See you on the next one.